Hello, welcome to the Science Interactive Notebook for today. Today we're continuing to look at light energy and the transfer of energy from one thing to another. Again, in this case, it is the transfer of light. Remember last time we looked at how the sun can be used to harness energy that we use for machines, how we humans harness it. But today we're going to look at the way that energy is naturally transformed from the sun into different areas of the earth. Okay, so what you're going to need is your Science Interactive Notebook. You will need a pen for taking notes, scissors for cutting this page out. You will need your page that says Introduction to the Transfer of Energy, Light from Energy from the Sun. It is behind this page, so if you find this page, Light Energy from the Sun, you just put this page aside and we're going to use this one. You will also need glue we're going to cut this out, glue it in, and then take our notes, and some colors so that you can make it look nice and fancy. Alright, so once you have all this, again, pause the video if you need to right now to make sure you go grab all that stuff and come back when you are ready. But if you have everything ready to go, we are going to jump in and get started. Alright. So first things first, we're going to cut out this page and then glue it into here. So I'm going to put this to the side. Alright, so I'll get my scissors. Now you'll notice, like some of our other pages here, we have two of the identical same. We only need one, so I'm going to cut out the bottom. This would be if you made a mistake and needed another copy. It's on that paper for you, but we don't need that right now. So right now I'm going to just cut the bottom one out along the dotted line. So you can see I'm cutting out along the dotted line this diagram of light energy from the sun. Alright. So think back if you can to what we've learned about energy so far, the transfer of energy. Right. This is different than potential or kinetic energy, which are energies of motion, right? This is light energy, solar energy, right? Energy coming from the sun. Sol in Spanish is where we get the name solar, having to do with sun, and this is where we get light from the sun and how it is absorbed into these different locations on Earth, or used in different parts of the Earth. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this along that black line. You could fold it down to make sure you have a nice straight line. After you fold it down, then you're going to want to fold it back the other way, because this is the way we're actually going to have it to glue in. Okay, so that way you have a nice, relatively straight line folded across. Okay. Then we're going to glue this into our notebook. Okay, so I'm going to find the next page. I think the last page we did was page 14, where we talked about energy transfer from sun to different forms to solar panels to be used as electricity. Today we're going to go to the next page, which should be page 15, if you've been following along with all of these. Okay, and I'm going to glue this in. Notice it's kind of long to go this way. You can put it this way. So I'm going to glue it in that way. Before I do, I'm going to write at the top, call this solar energy transfer. Okay. Solar energy transfer, similar to what we did last time, but this is natural solar energy transfer. Okay. Now I'm going to glue this on, but when I do, sorry about that, I hit the wrong button. I'm going to glue this in, but when I do, I'm going to glue across just the top here, this top folded part, because when I glue it in, I want, like we have been doing, these flaps to be able to go up and down. Okay, flip over and just glue on this top strip up here. So I have glue on that. I'm going to glue it, kind of match that red line. I notebook that gives me a nice dividing line, or a nice easy guideline for that. So I have this, and then I have all my flaps can come up and down. And what I'm going to do now is just cut along these dotted lines so that each flap is on its own. Alright, now, flip it this way so it can work. Now, I'm going to bust out my colors. I'm going to start coloring up here, because I'm going to write my notes in color around this about the same time. Okay? But I want to start with the sun, because it's important to remember that this is talking about the energy that we get from the sun. Right? The sun provides the earth with light, so that we can see things, but it also provides it with energy in the form of heat. Okay, and that's what we'll be kind of talking about today. The importance, or one of the things we'll talk about today, is the importance of the heat we get from the sun. Okay, because without that, it would be so cold that no life could live on planet Earth. It would just be a frozen wasteland. Alright, so our first thing here, and where we're going to write our first note, is on this flap. First thing I'm going to do is on this arrow is write the word sunlight. S-U-N-L-I-G-H-T. Okay, nice and small there. So I'll zoom in for us here. Sunlight. Okay, so I'm going to think of this as sunlight rays coming down. What color are sunlight rays? Well, they don't really have a color, but we'll color them yellow to match the sun. Okay, and then the sunlight rays are coming from the sun and they're hitting this. Now, right now it's hard to tell what that is because it's not colored in. That's why we're going to make sure we color it. But I'm going to let us know that this is water, like ocean water. Okay, so our first note, I'm going to lift this flap and write that the sun lights, or sunlight, so light warms the water. Okay, so the heat from the light warms the water, makes it warmer. After I've written that note, I'm going to get out my colors here. And what color is water? Well, it's blue. So I'm going to grab a couple different blues. Make this a nice deep blue ocean. Looks like there's a lot of waves here. And you can get as fancy as you want, color in as quickly as you want. Or take your time. If you want to pause the video to really take your time and make sure you're doing a good job coloring, go for it. And just unpause when you're ready, but I'm going to color all those blue so that looks like the water. Now inside the water, as we learned, there's different plants that can grow in the water, right? Or there's sand or rocks, so I'm going to color these plants in. And I'll color in those rocks at the bottom. Just so that it looks like I'm looking at the ocean or the water right here. So sunlight hits the ocean water and it warms the water. Okay. What else does sunlight do? Well, that brings us to our next one. Sunlight also shines on land. Okay. So sunlight, again, I write here. I'm going to color that yellow. Sunlight also shines on the land, and the light from the sun. Light warms the land. So not only the water, but the land. That heat from the sun, that warmth from the sun, again allows plants to grow, allows plants and animals to stay alive without being frozen. Okay. So unlike the ocean, which was blue, I'm going to color this whole thing green. It's nice, lush, getting a nice amount of sun. So as you know, if you've grown plants before, if you have a garden or your parents have a garden or anything like that, one of the things plants need to survive is sunlight. They can't live without sunlight. We, of course, also need sunlight. Not only because we would freeze, but because it also gives us vitamins. Vitamin D comes from the sun and warms us up. So we have sunlight shining onto the land. Of course, light warms the land. Okay. Now, zooming into maybe one of these plants here, we have more sunlight. SUNLIGHT. Shining down on our plant here. And what happens when sunlight hits plants? Well, light, L-I-G-H-T again, facilitates, here's a big scientific word, F-A-C-I-L-I-T-A-T-E-S, facilitates. Okay, and facilitates means not only like allows, but guides or helps plant growth. We'll learn more about this a little bit later in science class, but photosynthesis, what allows the plants to grow, is it needs to capture sunlight in order to grow, in order to create energy. Okay, without that sunlight, plants cannot collect or cannot create energy. And that's why also plants are green. Talked a little bit about this, I think, but plants are green because they contain special cells called chlorophyll. Chlorophyll and also chloroplasts have a chemical in them. Oh, sorry, chloroplasts have a chemical. The chemical is called chlorophyll, and that's what gets activated by sunlight. And then once it's activated, it uses water and carbon dioxide, which is in the air, to help create this energy. It makes a chemical process where the sunlight, the water, the air, the carbon dioxide in the air is used in order to create oxygen and sugars for the plant. And we need that because we need the oxygen that plants provide in order for us to breathe. All right, the last one would be this big curly Q's, and again, we'll write sunlight on my arrow. Flowing into this big curly thing, and this of course represents wind. So we say that light warms the air. Okay? It wouldn't be just enough for, oh here, I'll leave that open so you guys can cover it. Light warms the air. It wouldn't be enough just for sunlight to warm the ground and warm the water. It also needs to warm the atmosphere or the air, because without that, again, we would freeze. Okay? The ground might be warm, the water might be warm, but if the air is freezing, then that wouldn't do us any good. We would freeze as well. And the way that this does is the oxygen and water particles that are in the air can collect that sunlight. Those different chemical particulates in the air can collect sunlight as it's coming down through the atmosphere, and it warms the air. And that's also why in the winter it's colder than in the summer, at least where we live. In the summer we collect more light rays. So those things, there's more light rays. They're more intense. It's warmer, it's hotter. In the winter we get less sun, and the sun is less intense. So it's not able to warm the air as much. Hence it is colder. All right, so this wind let's color a nice light blue. All right. Now, so we have our notes taken. We'll recap this really quick. Oh, one last thing. As a reminder, just like we started, we're going to end. This all starts with, of course, the sun. So don't forget to color in that second sun. Not that we have two suns. We do only have the one sun, but we have it represented twice here because we want to remind ourselves that it is the sun that gives us this energy, it gives us this light. It's the sun that allows things to grow on Earth. It allows us to be warm and not freeze. Okay, so now we can zoom out and review. We have light energy coming down from the sun in the form of rays, sunlight. It warms the water. It warms the land. So why this is important? Warming the water, that's where all the ocean life lives, right? We need ocean life. Coral is a living plant in the ocean that provides a lot of the oxygen, not only for the ocean, but also for us. Plants in the ocean provide oxygen in the water for all the fish life and the different ocean life that lives in there. We need ocean life to survive on land. Even if we don't eat the food from the ocean, ocean life is critical to life on land, or for the creatures that live on land. We need the light energy to warm the land. Why? So that plants can grow. We need those plants to provide us oxygen. We need the light energy for those plants to grow because we need the oxygen, and we need the light to warm the air so that it is possible to live on the earth. If we didn't have the air warm, it would be too cold to live. So the energy we get that gets transferred to these different parts of Earth is vitally important. Okay, so make sure you have all those copied down. You have it nice and colorful so it looks nice. We will refer to this again, like I said, throughout the year or next year, we'll see. But make sure you have that copied down and you practice the skills that are attached to this assignment as well. And with that, I will see you guys next time. Take care.